I was a junior international athlete and rugby player, and then went to Loughborough University, sports science, because Seb Coe went there, so he was one of my idols as a kid. And from there I went to Cambridge and did 2 years there in my postgrad and MPhil. Played professional rugby in the Premiership for a couple of different clubs. Then got some injuries to the point where then I started to get into coaching. So I found out that the Fiji Sevens job was available without finding out how much they were paying and how long the contract was and what their financial position was. I just went for it. I sort of took a step into the unknown, and that leap of faith was made easy by the fact that I knew there was real potential, and it was one of those decisions that you just felt you had to make or you'd regret it. And I started a week later in Fiji, and we had nothing, and we slowly built the program up to the point where 3 years later we were double world champions and Olympic gold medalists.
Every man, woman and child, they all know everything about the team because they follow it so fanatically because it's their team.
I went from the boys not talking to me for about 4 weeks because I was this overseas white ginger guy coming in trying to do things differently, to 3 years later being the only non-Fijian chief and being given land and my face on a dollar bill. So it worked, but I learned so many lessons, and it was in a very fluid time in Fiji where we went from a dictatorship to a democratic nation. We went through one of the worst cyclones to ever hit land, and we had death in our team and all sorts of things. And you throw in the black magic and other stuff that I had to deal with. I became very good at trying to see where the potential pitfalls were before they became cliff edges.
It's like the Jamaican sprinters. It's one of those stories where you have this team from the islands and this spiritual, mythical creation, really, of these boys that can do amazing things against teams that are more developed, have more money, have more backup, have more things in every category except that ability and that heart and that nation behind them. I think lots of other teams can say that they're doing it for their countries, but this is actually the case here. It's hard to quantify, but everybody on the island is behind this team.
What makes this story such an interesting one and has so much value is that it is about real communication. It's about alignment. It's about decision making. It's about individual responsibility. Forming a culture that's robust and resilient and bomb-proof, and an environment where people can be the very best versions of them. I think the key thing for any business to know is that whatever you're going through and whatever things you think you'd like to improve upon, I've been there.
Before a game I've had 2 boys collide into each other and knock themselves out. We've had a terrorist attack warning where we've had armed guards escorting the team out to play. We've had the numbers of our shirts peeling off because they weren't fitted on properly, and that incurred a £50,000 fine with every number. And I had a pen in the tunnel writing number 10 on Bengoling's back as they were all peeling off, and I was hoping that it wasn't going to count into hundreds of thousands of pounds. I've had the bus crash on the way to a tournament. I've had our star player get ill. I've had our star player go down in the first game. And all of those things are the what-if scenarios. All of those things, if you aren't prepared, if your skin isn't thick enough, you're going to fall over.
We've got the tools to help you solve your problems by relating them to some of the stuff that I've encountered. So we simplified everything so everyone knew exactly what was going on at every time. And that simple framework that's sometimes lost in big business and in companies where people can hide behind layers of management, where the rules are different for each person. Means that your end goals are slightly harder to achieve because it's muffled and there's so much noise that you don't see the signal. So everything's around getting the best out of individuals to get the best for the team. Everything's around having clear barriers to make sure that your discipline's good, that you can be ruthless but you can also be kind, that you can work together as a team and also get the results that you want. And all of those things you can learn from my journey.